He was a TA of both Criminal Justice 101 and Criminal Law. We heard from several students along the way that he gave off weird vibes, that they got a creepy feeling from him.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear thoughts build up until I can't feel. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. How long would you say it takes for criminal psychology to brew, to percolate, to marinate? How long does that process take place? What is the turnaround time for a premeditated murder? Quite a complicated question, right? Now, assuming one has a perfect storm of stresses and tensions and anxieties, how long does it take for the criminal mind to ready itself for action? It has been pricked into action. There's been this little glimpse of what the perpetrator wants to do, and from then on he's sort of tempted. He's toying with this idea of what he wants to do. Now, it might seem like a very complicated question, but in the Chris Watts case, we saw him go from mild-mannered, perfect father and ideal husband to a homicidal maniac in about 5 to 6 weeks. I mean, even his wife said she couldn't recognize the man that she'd married. And that whole process took about 5 to 6 weeks. If we take the first date referenced in the Washington State University termination letter, September 23rd, 2022, which is a Friday, right? Then it's 7 short weeks until the night of the incident, Saturday going on Sunday, the 13th of November. In other words, it appears criminal psychology has sufficient time to fester from a stable baseline to homicidal in as little as 2 months. Before we get to the rest of this episode, we were going to talk about Kohberger following a female Washington State University student to a car. So, in sum, when you talk about this whole idea of Kohberger following a female student to a car, and then apparently someone complained about that, what we are dealing with is yet another incel incident. I don't think it takes rocket science to see to what extent Kohberger fits the incel profile, even if he didn't actually identify with the group. But the latest new insight that he followed a female WSU student to her car shows yet another blunder, with the opposite sex from Kohberger. Although it was reported, right, although it was escalated to, I guess, his professors, it appears that Kohberger was ultimately let off the hook in that particular instance. It could be that the complaint against him was unfair, or that because Kohberger was the black sheep, anything he did, or if he did something, they didn't really want to cut him any slack. Not as much as if, let's say, somebody else did something similar. In any event, we see Kohberger is clearly trying to engage. There's so many instances of him in a social setting. He's looking at someone, he's talking to someone, he's having some other interaction with someone, might be his neighbor, and effectively what he's trying to do is make friends. He's far from home, he's by himself, he's in a social setting, he's trying to socialize, he's doing really what he should be doing, he's trying to get his social life into gear and on the road, and yet at every turn he seems to screw it up. So was he trying too hard? Had he been alone for too long and had kind of become unsocialized? Was it a cultural issue? Or was Kohberger simply not sufficiently socialized overall? Or was he just a jerk? Somebody with very, who needed to have polysocial skills. Now, we do know that he had friends in high school, so it's not that he was completely objectionable, that literally no one on this planet could see themselves hanging out with him. But one wonders whether the pandemic perhaps worsened his already rusty social awkwardness. And that then brings us to the trigger. Bad Teachergate was undoubtedly the trigger in this case, specifically what had to be the humiliating spectacle of being roundly criticized, shot down by 75 students. That's a lot. That's a lot of people saying not very nice things about you, right? And possibly in front of other professors as well. And perhaps the other professors felt let's teach him a lesson, and this is a lesson we want to teach him. So effectively he was in front of an audience of about 150 people. That is quite a spectacular social death to experience in a social setting. To have virtually everyone in his faculty watch him sort of burn out, burn down, burned at the stake, burnt at the sort of social stake in terms of his direction of study. And not only that, if you can imagine the discrepancy here, the contradiction of what he's going through, he's kind of being undone, right? He's experiencing this humiliating thing within the context of the funhouse. Well, what's happening there? Well, you have another 150 kids turning up, having fun, enjoying themselves, having the experience they want, compared to Kohberger's experience of university, which is not fun. I think the issues surrounding Bad Teachergate simply made it even more triggering. So Bad Teachergate, I think, was a huge trigger, that incident where he was criticized. But I think the issues around that, the altercations with the lecturers, this, that, and the next thing, made it even more triggering. It made it hard to let go of what had happened to him. Hard to forget, hard to get over, just as Nutgate was something Shanann didn't let Chris Watts think about. And so you have this very negative experience that is repeated, reinforced, and the perpetrator reminded of it. And doesn't that then cause this percolating of the criminal psychology? In the Chris Watts case, even during the week that he spent in North Carolina, Shanann made sure that he was fully aware of how his mother almost killed their daughter. And so he was starting to think certain thoughts. That kind of thing would reinforce those thoughts. Could you not have had a similar situation with Bryan Kohberger? Now, on News Nation, covering this aspect, former FBI agent Jennifer Coffindaffer, she told the host, Ashley Banfield, this would not answer why he did this, right? She acknowledged that Bad Teachergate could have triggered Kohberger, but she kind of said that it would not answer why. It doesn't answer why? I think it does. It's because in the university setting, where everyone seems to be gratuitously enjoying social and other forms of intercourse, effortlessly, easily, he's having a torrid time. He's having a very different experience. Not only can he not get laid, not only do his PhD peers not like him, not only do the professors not like him, not only can he not make friends, not only do his neighbors treat him like the plague, not only do the students at the student union in Moscow go and sit somewhere else when he's around, but added to that, you've got the humiliation of younger students putting him in place. It's triggering in the context of the university setting. It's triggering in the context that it's a classroom setting that brings back bad memories of high school. But I think it also triggers him to his core. Once again, he feels bullied. He feels humiliated. He feels emasculated. He becomes ostracized, and to have the faculty make that official hurts even more. So I think it sort of feels like it's him against the entire world. And I think it very much does answer why. I think at this point, if the why is unclear, it's because one has either an incomplete idea of Kohberger or a fragmented view of Kohberger. And I think if you've imagined him all along as a serial killer, well, you haven't really imagined him at all. Interestingly, just as there's been superficial, slight improvements in the, in terms of the timeline of the Watts case, just as you sort of saw some slight improvement in Chris Watts's marriage, where he claimed that he was going to get marriage counseling, right? He said that he would read a book and so on. You had that improvement taking place just prior to catastrophe. Kohberger also apparently showed slight signs of making an attempt to fix the situation, but all of this was after the incident. According to News Nation, quote, and this is quoting from the termination letter, quote, "We met again on December 7th, that's 3 weeks after the crime, this time with Professor Snyder as well as Dr. Willits and I." So he's meeting with 1, 2, 3 professors to discuss his progress, and they decided, although he's not doing a great job, there was some progress. So one kind of gets the sense that after the incident, after that emergency venting, he seemed to calm down and feel better about himself and feel more in control and feel more positive about everything. It does make one wonder, did Kohberger ultimately lose his scholarship or PhD status over bad Teachergate and the altercations? One does wonder, will Kohberger be able to complete his PhD from jail? Would he want to? I suppose perhaps he can write a thesis on himself. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.